What if I told you one of the smartest moves of the entire WTA season didn't happen in a final, but in a tournament entry list? Because right now, Alexandra Eala might have just made a decision that could quietly launch her into the next tier of women's tennis. And almost nobody is talking about it the right way. Here's the thing, most fans only look at big titles, big trophies, and big names. But real progress? That happens in the shadows. It happens in the scheduling. It happens in the decisions players make when nobody is watching. And Eala just made one of those decisions. She's heading into the clay season. And yes, she's already set to compete in bigger events like the Linz Open. That alone shows her growing presence on tour. But that's not the real story here. The real story is that she's also signed up for a WTA 125 event in La Bisbal, Spain. Now, at first glance, that might not sound like a big deal. But if you really understand how the WTA system works, this is a massive play, because this isn't a step down. This is a setup. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this one move could completely change the trajectory of Alexandra Eala's 2026 season, and why some players on tour should already be nervous. Let's break this down. Eala, still just 20 years old, has already built something that most players struggle with for years: attention. Wherever she plays, people show up. Her matches? Packed. Her fan base? Loud. And most importantly, growing. We've seen it in tournaments across the calendar. Even when she's not going deep into finals, the energy around her matches feels different. There's belief. There's excitement. There's this sense that something bigger is coming. And that's rare, because usually hype comes after results. But with Eala, the hype is arriving early. Now, let's talk about performance. She hasn't exactly dominated the WTA Tour yet. Let's be honest about that. She's at flashes, real flashes, like her deep runs in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Those weren't accidents. Those were signals. Signals that when she's locked in, she can compete with players ranked above her. But consistency? That's still the missing piece. And this is where her latest decision becomes incredibly interesting. Instead of only chasing big stage glory, Eala is going into a WTA 125 event where she'll be one of the top seeds. Let that sink in. In La Bisbal, she won't just be another name in the draw. She'll be a contender. A real one. Yes, the field is still competitive. You got players like Leylah Fernandez, Wang Xinyu, and Katerina Siniakova, all ranked above her. But here's the twist. Even with those names in the draw, Eala is still being seen as one of the favorites. Why? Because of momentum. Because of belief. And because when she plays her best tennis, she doesn't look like a lower-ranked player. She looks like someone who belongs. And that's dangerous. Now here's where things get really interesting. This isn't even new territory for her. She's already won a WTA 125 title before, at the Guadalajara 125 Open in 2025. And she didn't just win it. She earned it, beating Panna Udvardy in the final. Showing composure, grit, and something that you can't really teach: timing. She peaked at the right moment. And that's what champions do. So now the question becomes, can she do it again? Because if she can, this changes everything. But wait, there's another layer to this story that makes it even more fascinating. Clay. For a player who trains at the Rafael Nadal Academy, you'd expect clay to be her strongest surface, right? Well, not exactly. Last season, her clay court record was surprisingly underwhelming. Only 2 wins. That's it. Early exits at big events like the Italian Open and French Open didn't help either. So naturally, people started asking questions. Is clay really her surface? Is she struggling to adapt? Or is she just not there yet? And this is where things flip, because what looks like a weakness might actually be her biggest advantage right now. She has almost no points to defend on clay, which means every match she wins this season is pure gain. No pressure, no expectations, just opportunity. And in tennis, that's one of the most powerful positions you can be in, because when you're playing free, you're dangerous. You take risks, you swing harder, you believe more. And Eala, she's entering this clay swing with nothing to lose and everything to gain. Now let's connect the dots. She's playing bigger tournaments like Linz. She's dropping into a WTA 125 where she can realistically go deep. She has previous success at this level. And she's entering a surface where she has no pressure. That's not random. That's strategy. And if this works, we could be looking at a completely different ranking picture in just a few months. Because points add up fast. Confidence builds even faster. And suddenly, a player who was hovering starts rising. Now, here's the part that most people are missing. This move isn't just about winning a smaller title. It's about building something. Momentum, rhythm, identity. Because once a player starts believing they can win consistently, everything changes. Matches that used to feel difficult start to feel manageable. Tight moments become opportunities instead of threats. And that's when players level up. We've seen it before. Players who dominate at the Challenger or 125 level often carry that confidence into bigger tournaments. And that could be exactly what Eala is setting up here. Now let's talk honestly. There's still a gap between potential and reality. She's not a top 10 player yet. She's not even consistently making finals at the WTA 250 level. But that's not the point. The point is trajectory. And right now, her trajectory is pointing up fast. And if she starts stacking wins on clay, that rise could accelerate. Now, here's something else to think about. And this is where I want your opinion. Is this the smartest move of her career so far? Because not every player is willing to drop down a level. Some see it as a step back. Others see it as a risk. But the smartest players, they see it as an opportunity. And Eala might be seeing the bigger picture. Because at the end of the day, rankings don't lie. Points matter. Wins matter. And confidence? That might matter more than anything. So she goes to La Bisbal and makes a deep run. Or even wins a title. Don't be surprised if her name starts popping up more and more in bigger draws. Don't be surprised if seeded players start noticing her. And definitely don't be surprised if fans start expecting more. Because that's how it starts. Not with a Grand Slam title. Not with massive upset. But with smart decisions. Quiet moves. And moments that most people overlook. And that's exactly why the story matters. Because while everyone else is watching the big names battle out on the biggest stages, Alexandra Eala might be building something even more important, a foundation. Now, before we wrap this up, let's look ahead. If she performs well during this clay swing, we could see her enter tournaments like Roland Garros with a completely different mindset. Instead of hoping to compete, she'll expect to win. And that shift? That's everything. So keep your eyes on this. Because what happens in a WTA 125 event today could turn into a breakout moment tomorrow. And when that happens, everyone's going to look back and say the same thing. That's where it started. So here's the question I want you to answer in the comments. Is Alexandra Eala making a genius move by playing this WTA 125 event? Or should she be focusing only on the biggest tournaments right now? And be honest, do you actually see her winning a title on clay this season? Because this might be the moment that defines her year, and maybe even her career. Tennis IQ is where real tennis stories come to life. And if you love deep dives like this, stay locked in because the next breakout star might already be on your screen.